A courtroom erupted in gasps as Officer Marcus Reid's hand connected with a woman's face during a heated contempt hearing. What he didn't know was that this single moment of rage would cost him everything he'd worked for. Because the woman standing before him wasn't just another defendant. She was about to become his boss. What city are you watching from today? If this story resonated with you, hit subscribe for more stories about extraordinary people. Let me take you back 3 weeks. Detective Amara Williams sat in the chief's office at Metropolitan Police Department, her eyes scanning the congratulatory letter. After 15 years of exemplary service, countless commendations, and a doctorate in criminal justice, she'd finally made it. The first black woman to lead the entire department. Her appointment would be announced publicly in 2 weeks, but first, she had one final case to close. A small-time drug possession case where she'd been subpoenaed as a witness. Simple testimony. In and out. Across town, Officer Marcus Reid was having the worst month of his career. 3 excessive force complaints. 2 dismissed, 1 pending. His lieutenant had warned him, one more incident and he'd be riding a desk for the rest of his career. Marcus didn't care. In his mind, he'd spent 12 years keeping the streets safe while everyone else worried about feelings. The morning of the hearing, Amara walked into courtroom 7B wearing civilian clothes. A simple navy pantsuit, her natural hair styled in elegant locks. She carried herself with quiet dignity, the kind that comes from knowing your worth without needing to announce it. Marcus was there for an unrelated case, waiting in the gallery. He'd had a terrible morning. Coffee spilled on his uniform. Traffic jam. Argument with his ex-wife about child support. His patience was already paper thin. The case Amara was testifying for seemed routine until the defense attorney, trying to establish reasonable doubt, began aggressively questioning her observations. His tone grew disrespectful, insinuating she'd fabricated details. "Ma'am, isn't it true you have a history of embellishing police reports?" The attorney sneered. Amara remained calm. "That's absolutely false, and you know it." The judge intervened. "Counselor, do you have evidence to support that claim?" The attorney fumbled. He didn't. It was a fishing expedition, and it was failing. But then he made it personal. "Your Honor, I'd like to question whether this witness even has the credentials to accurately assess what she claims to have seen." Something flickered in Amara's eyes, but her voice stayed level. "I have a master's degree in criminal justice and 15 years of law enforcement experience. My credentials are part of the record." The attorney smirked. "Book learning doesn't replace street smarts." The courtroom murmured. The judge was about to interject when the attorney pushed further, his voice dripping with condescension that barely masked something uglier. "Perhaps if you'd spent less time in classrooms and more time learning respect for the legal process. Counselor." The judge's gavel cracked like thunder. "You're out of line. Apologize to the witness, or I'll hold you in contempt." The attorney, red-faced and cornered, muttered something that might have been an apology, but the damage was done. The toxic energy in the room had awakened something in Marcus, sitting in the back. He saw the exchange through his own distorted lens. In his mind, this woman, whoever she was, had challenged a legal professional, had gotten uppity, had disrupted the natural order of his courtroom. When the judge called a brief recess, Marcus made his move. Amara stood in the hallway, texting her assistant about tomorrow's schedule. She didn't see Marcus approach. "You think you're pretty smart, don't you?" His voice cut through the corridor. She looked up, confused. "Excuse me?" "Women like you. Coming in here with your attitudes, thinking your fancy degrees make you better than everyone else." Amara's eyes narrowed. She recognized the uniform, the badge, the barely concealed hostility she'd seen too many times before. "Officer, I don't know what you think happened in there, but I suggest you walk away." "Don't tell me what to do." Marcus stepped closer, his voice rising. "I'm sick of people like you making us look bad." "Showing off? Acting like what? Exactly." Amara's voice was quiet, dangerous. The bailiff appeared. Is there a problem here? Marcus, feeling challenged, feeling cornered, feeling all the rage of his terrible day and his fragile ego, made the worst decision of his life. Yeah, there's a problem. This woman is disrupting court proceedings, showing contempt. I'm doing nothing of the sort, Amara said firmly. Officer, step back. But Marcus, lost in his anger, reached for her arm. She pulled away. He grabbed harder. She jerked free, and her folder fell, papers scattering. You just assaulted an officer, Marcus shouted, and in that moment of blind fury, his hand swung out. The slap echoed through the hallway like a gunshot. Time stopped. The bailiff moved immediately, pulling Marcus back as other officers rushed in. Amara stood perfectly still, her cheek red, her eyes blazing with controlled fury. Badge number, she said quietly. You're going to regret, Marcus started. Your badge number, now. Something in her voice made him comply. 7,743. Officer Marcus Reid, badge 7,743. You are now the subject of a formal complaint for assault on a civilian and conduct unbecoming an officer. You'll be hearing from my attorney. Marcus laughed bitterly. Good luck with that. Do you know how many complaints I've beaten? Amara picked up her scattered papers, her hand steady despite the adrenaline. We'll see. 2 weeks later, Marcus sat in the assembly room with 300 other officers for the mandatory announcement of their new police chief. He'd almost forgotten about the incident. His union rep had assured him it would be handled like the others. Paid leave, quiet settlement, back to work. The deputy mayor took the podium. It is my honor to introduce your new chief of police. A decorated officer with 15 years of exemplary service, a doctor in criminal justice, and a vision for transformative community policing. Marcus clapped along with everyone else, barely paying attention. Please welcome Chief Amara Williams. His hands froze mid-dash clap dot. She walked onto the stage, poised and powerful in her new uniform, and Marcus felt his entire world tilt. The blood drained from his face. Around him, officers cheered. He couldn't breathe. Amara's eyes swept the room and landed on him for just a moment. No smile, no acknowledgement, just a look that said, I remember. Her speech talked about accountability, dignity, and second chances for those who earned them. About rooting out the officers who saw the badge as a shield for their worst impulses rather than a responsibility to their best selves. Marcus was suspended without pay the next day. Full investigation. By the book. But here's where the story takes a turn that surprised everyone, including Marcus. 3 months later, after a thorough review, Amara made a decision. Marcus would face consequences, mandatory counseling, anger management, a formal reprimand, demotion, and a probationary period. But not termination. Everyone deserves a chance to grow, she told her command staff. But only if they're willing to do the work. Marcus, humbled and ashamed, took the deal. He spent the next year in therapy, confronting the biases he carried, the anger he buried, the humanity he'd forgotten. 2 years later, he wrote Chief Williams a letter, not asking for his rank back, not making excuses, just apologizing fully and completely for who he'd been that day. She never responded, but she kept the letter. The truth is, we all carry moments we're not proud of. Times when our worst selves showed up instead of our best. The question isn't whether we'll fall short. It's whether we'll have the courage to face it, own it, and grow from it. If this story touched you, hit that like button and share it with someone who needs to hear it today. Subscribe to Soul Relief Stories for more narratives that inspire us to be better. And tell me in the comments, have you ever had a moment that changed everything? I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, remember, redemption is always possible, but only when we're brave enough to look in the mirror